Gaming Titan again, and welcome to another World of Tanks episode. So, to preface my remarks, I stopped playing World of Tanks early last November 2020. I stopped cold. I did not log onto the forums, the website, did not pay attention to the emails. I had a complete break, which I felt I needed, and while I intended to play over the Christmas and did update the game, I never got past the start screen. So when I fired up the console over the weekend and played some World of Tanks, boy was I in for a surprise. A whole and complete makeover of the game, it seemed. The UI, the in-battle UI, the garage, the tech tree, and so forth. I have a number of reactions to this. Where is everything gone? The familiar aspects of the UI have disappeared completely or been moved to another location in the menu system. Some distraction as to the battle UI while I came to terms with what it was telling me and the reorientation of information. I can see pros and cons to these changes. I need to do more research and see myself making another video on the changes alone and my reaction to them as feedback from a veteran player to the mod team if nothing else. However, I wanted to do this reaction cold, or as cold as possible, uncontaminated by any other commentary. Unfortunately, this was somewhat spoiled by listening to Mingles of Jingles on Monday, where I got the impression that the reaction was negative and widespread. The thing I kept thinking was, what does this mean for the game? So I'm going to address this first, then I may make a few comments on the changes to the UI and my views on the changes to the game, but my first attempt at this script indicates that this would make this video unacceptably long. So, to go back, when I finally got around to opening and playing the game over the weekend, that's of January the 15th to the 17th, 2021, for those watching this video long after release, I was flabbergasted. Really astonished. It took me several games not to get distracted by the new battle UI layout, and a bit of faffing around to find the tanks in the garage, and wondering what the icons on the tanks filter meant. Time could have been well spent here, I think, by the developers adding some tooltips. To put some context on my initial remarks, or why the thought that what does this mean for the game was the one that kept running through my head. Last October in 2020, I made a response video to a video by Retro Jules, a fellow YouTuber, who was giving his reaction to the Hot Wheels season of World of Tanks, and one of the points that I was making, and perhaps I could have made it better at the time, was that I considered that the game was in a state of managed decline, that Wargaming was not going to make major investments in the game, but were going to squeeze as much money out of the game as they could. I also referred to a couple of videos and forum threads by Dr. Bodge and others who were cited as evidence in support of this. All relevant links in the video description down below. The basis of this thesis was that World of Tanks was a game in decline, that it was losing players fast and it was gaining new players, and the evidence for that it was losing players, was based on data gleaned from the player stats portal by users on the forum and posted on the forum. The pages on the website where you can view your stats are those of other players. Basically, they had written a script, they interrogated that, and they got the details of every player down and then did statistics based on doing this and doing it over time. The logical predictions from these considerations was that Wargaming would not be making any more major investments in the game, and the Mercenaries was a bit of a counterexample, as it cost a fair bit. But the rest of what Wargaming did, product placement, reskin tanks, tier 9 and tier 10 premium tanks, all support this view because they're relatively low investments for reasonably high returns. They don't have to sell a lot of premium tanks to make a profit, and make a decent profit on it. It looks like to me that this is a completely different game. It looks like a completely different game. And it's evident that Wargaming have actually spent a lot of money on this. This is the new update. And this probably cost more money to develop than the entire Mercenaries thing. I would say actually cost a lot more money. And it has really surprised me, because it means that Wargaming sees a future in the game and consider it still worth investing in. Now, this is a huge positive if you're looking at the longevity of the game. I am not really surprised that there would be a negative initial reaction to changes like this by the experienced players. They've invested a lot of time and effort in learning the game as is, and part of that is utilising the information supplied by the previous UIs and aid to gameplay. Also, people I think are innately conservative. They don't like changes. They really don't like sudden and very strong changes like this. I mean, this is a huge change, and some of it I think is unnecessary. There's a certain element of change for the sake of change. Now, I'm currently unaware of any gameplay changes. The game's, to me, TBCs are the same. It plays the same. There's consumable changes I see as a positive, but I don't know what impact that'll have on gameplay. The others I see as largely neutral to gameplay, and gameplay would be my primary interest, because that's where we get the fun out of, is actually in the gameplay. The rest of it is much more cosmetic, but a lot has changed, and, well, almost everything seems to have changed. Now, I don't know if this is completely true, in that, okay, the gameplay, as I said, doesn't seem to have changed, and the UI seems to have changed almost everywhere. I would say everywhere, but I haven't examined the game enough to say that this is definitively the case. There may be some element that hasn't actually changed. As I said, the gameplay seems to be the same as far as I can tell, but the Battlefield UI is different and presents some different information. Or at least it emphasizes different information. It also hides some information that was previously related, and it's changed the location of many things. They have taken information out. Some of this information was not available 6 years ago when the game came out, but it was needed and valuable to the players, and it was added over the years, and they've removed it now, like showing the tank view range on the minimap, or giving the tank names on the kill feed, which I think is valuable. On the other hand, I think showing the XP earned as it's earned is probably the single best feedback element they've added since the game was first introduced. Though it's spoiled somewhat by having that information obscure the running damage totals. Also, why does the garage look like some blasted heath and Mordor located between the Black Gate and Mount Doom? It looks like a dragon firing range. And while I am complaining, as I said, the kill feed only gives gamer tags. This is pretty useless. I don't care that What's-His-Face died. I want to know what tank she was driving. Same for the request for fire messages. Speaking of which, where have the requests for fire messages gone? I cannot see the comms radio. I thought I saw the message, but that may have been my imagination. Requests for fire and also cover me are gone, and they were my most used messages. I'm pretty sure nobody was listening to me or watching those messages when I was putting them out, but I felt I was doing something useful. Therefore, there were useful messages to me, and I don't see any reason really to change the comms radials. I'm not aware that anyone was looking for this. It seems to me there's a certain amount of this was changed for the sake of change. Another example of this would have been removing the tank type from the kill feed. I mean, that's probably the most valuable information. You want to know if the tank destroyer that's behind you is still alive, or has suddenly died, or the IS-3 that's stopping you from advancing this, or the tank destroyer that has you pinned down behind a rock has been destroyed, is more valuable to you than to know that such and such a player has been taken out from the game, because you don't know necessarily who the driver of the tank in front of you is. There is a lot of criticising this update. I think they could have waited a few months and polished up the Battlefield UI at least to be better and not lose any information. There are positives to take from this as well. The scale of the effort and investment is one. It's a brave investment, though people do not like change, and this is a major change. Kind of like a speed metal band putting out an experimental jazz album. I am positive about the fact that Wargaming is willing to make major investments in the game. I like the consumable changes. I am neutral on the commander skills and on the package changes at the moment. I don't know how that will affect gameplay. Don't like the tech tree change, don't see any advantage to it. I would like to be able to see the internal XP costs of packages, and I would like to be able to see how the overall view of the tech tree from beginning to end on all tech lines, so that you could, say, plot a path through a tech tree to get you the maximum number of tier 10 tanks with the least amount of grinding. But I won't go over individual stuff because it could be the next hour chatting about this. Overall, I'm kind of neutral on the thing. I need to spend more time looking at it. Had a quick look at the forums and they appear to be on fire. So, I'm not really going to say much more about this. I'm going to kind of leave it as is. It's just a huge change. I actually do like this particular part of the screen where you again see where the XP is coming from. Although, again, it's a marketing ploy because they seem to have added a lot more options for monetization, or at least changed the nature of the monetization. And again, I'm going to have a look at that and see exactly what it means. Because, I mean, yes, I don't blame wargaming for monetization. And I think it would be good if they could orientate their monetization away from the frustration of the grind as it is at the moment. But we'll see how that goes, and I'll have a look at it into the future. So stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please press like, comment, share. It really helps the channel out. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.